Hello and welcome to this video. Today I wanted to share my 2025 planner slash journal setup, which is quite minimal, but it's also kind of all in one, which sounds kind of strange, but trust me, it is. So I'm gonna divide this video up into two sections. The first part I'll be talking about the whole planning process, why the setup is the way it is, and hopefully just give some of you out there ideas on things you might want to consider when getting your next journal or planner. So that's going to be the first part, and then the second part will be just showing you all what it looks inside, which probably won't take very long because, like I said, it is a minimal setup. So anyways, let's get started. Alright, so the planning process. I thought it was really important to really list out what I wanted in a planner. I've seen so many incredibly beautiful journal setups and stuff, but I knew that that kind of stuff wasn't for me. I needed something really simple so that I could actually keep up and continue to use the journal. So I started with listing out what I really wanted in a journal or planner, whatever you want to call it, because you want the journal or planner to work for you, right? And not the other way around where you're sort of like confined to the structure of whatever is in the planner itself. So in terms of choosing the planner, I was thinking about size. I wanted something that wasn't too big or too clunky. So size was a factor. I wanted to make sure that the paper was nice and smooth. It also, if the planner was something that could lie flat, that would be a nice thing for me. I wanted to make sure I chose something that didn't have a spiral bound because I don't like the feeling of my hand pressing against the spirals when I'm writing. So that was another factor. I also wanted to make sure it had a good amount of pages to cater to the all-in-one factor. I wanted everything in this one journal slash planner. And finally, cost was another factor. I wanted to make sure that the journal that I chose was something that could be affordable, because I know I'm going to make mistakes writing in it, and I know I'm going to feel really bad for messing up in, like, say, a $60 journal versus a $5 journal. With a $60 one, I would probably be so pressured to keep everything super pristine, and that way I wouldn't get anywhere. I probably wouldn't even write in it. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that it's affordable. So I was watching a ton of videos on journals and planners, but a lot of the ones seemed kind of like out of my budget, and I wasn't even sure if I'd be able to make use of all those pre-printed spreads and layouts. So another criteria I then added was to find a blank notebook. And that way, like I said, I wouldn't be confined in terms of the way I used the planner. And that just gives me ultimate freedom. I can arrange everything in the way that I want to and just make it work for me. So I ended up getting these blank notebooks from Muji, and even though they don't tick all the boxes, like for example, it doesn't lie flat, but I think it's a great value for the price. The small one here, which is the A6 size, I believe. This one is, I think, about $4 Canadian, and then the larger one is about $5 Canadian, so very, very affordable. I ended up getting both because I wasn't sure which size I wanted yet at the time. So that was the whole choosing the planner part. And then now that I had one or two, then I started listing out what exactly it is that I wanted to be able to do with the planner. So in the beginning, I mentioned that I wanted it to be a simple all-in-one planner. And I just wanted to make sure that it's within reach at all times. Again, I kind of already mentioned this, but I just wanted to be able to maintain consistency and actually use it. So that's why I wanted something simple. And then the all in one aspect of it, I think it's like, I guess the way I thought about it was I think having too many different notebooks will kind of like complicate things for me. And so, yeah, I just felt like, having everything all there, all in one place, just works better for me. I don't need to think about carrying a bunch of different notebooks around. And then I wanted something that's, in terms of size, like, you know, portable and something that I can have within reach at all times, because it kind of goes back to why I decided that I need to start writing in a journal. And it's because I just have a tendency to think about a lot of things, and then a split second later, I'll forget it if I don't write it down. Another motivation for starting this journal, which I forgot to mention when I first recorded this, is because I want to start taking things offline. With so many videos about productivity and digitalization, it's true, there are certain benefits to that, but personally, I also think with so many aspects of our lives now being digitized, and then, with the digital landscape and regulations constantly shifting and changing, or even further ahead than that, like thinking into, like, say, a post-quantum world, um, I feel like I don't need another aspect of my life out there in the cloud. And going back to the good old pen and paper just seems right for me. So it's about the security and privacy. Not that I'm plotting anything malicious, but I just don't like the idea of, having some of my stuff being out there. It's my right to privacy. So, okay, that was enough of a ramble. Let's get back to the original video. So the goal here is really just to have something ready at all times, and I guess sort of like serve as a commonplace. And so with that in mind, I ended up choosing the smaller A6 notebook, because just for the portability factor. So in terms of the categories of things that I want this planner slash journal to be, I already mentioned that it's going to serve as a commonplace for any random thoughts that might come to mind or things that I might need to note down. It's also going to serve as a journal for any kind of thoughts, feelings, and reflections that I had for the day. It might also serve as a tarot journal for any readings that I did, and perhaps even a dream journal. So it's going to be a journal of all sorts. It's also going to be a place for collections of lists, like books I want to read, tarot and oracle wish lists, etc. I also want this to be a health tracker because I have a tendency to get headaches really easily, and I'm not really sure what the reason for that might be. So I want to be able to note, my headaches and see if I find any patterns. For example, noting down the weather, because I heard that the weather could be a factor in some types of headaches, and yeah, just to figure out why I'm getting them. And also, I wanted this to be an astrological calendar. So I wanted to be able to easily see the things that are happening in the sky without having to go to an app or a website or, things like that. All right, so I chose the planner. I have, all the categories of things that I want this planner to include. And now it was time to start thinking about how to fit everything into this planner. So just the planner structure, that kind of thing. So for the planner structure, I thought it might be easier to explain things if I just started showing you all what it looks like inside. So first, I knew that I needed a calendar spread. And I knew that I wouldn't want something that's daily because I don't want to waste any pages for the days where I don't have anything to write. So that leaves me with either weekly or monthly. And when taking into consideration like all the things that I wanted to fit, I decided that monthly, even spread out across 2 pages, might be a little bit too small. So I ended up settling on a weekly spread. So the way I've structured each day in the weekly spread is I've made sure that I leave a space for everything I wanted, everything I possibly wanted on that one. Well, I wouldn't call it a square. I guess that line, that space for the day. So starting from the left, I have the date, obviously. So the month and the number representing which day of the month it is. And then next to it, you'll find a kanji, a Japanese kanji character. And this is the day of the week in Japanese, like in a short form. And the reason why I chose this is because it actually works out really nicely for planetary correspondences. So, for example, here you'll see the kanji character for wood, but the planet of wood actually represents Jupiter, and so that is the actual planetary correspondence for Thursday. So it works out really nicely. This one says gold, but again, planet of gold actually means Venus. So everything, all the correspondences here just work out, and having one kanji character just makes everything look really nice and clean, or so I think. So I decided to go with that. And then next to that, I have a space dedicated to the Sabbats, so the 8 Sabbats according to the Wheel of the Year. And also I decided to include the Chinese 24 solar terms, I think is how it's translated into English. But basically it's another system or observance. I don't know if I'm saying this correctly, and don't quote me on this, but basically it's 24, again, just sort of like different seasonal observances throughout the year, and it just lines up perfectly with, the Sabbats as well. Although there are more because there's 24 and throughout the year, whereas Sabbats, there are only 8 of them. But when they do align, it's like the same thing because they are both according to the seasons. So yeah, I just thought it would be interesting to have that in there. And I don't know, just not that I really observe any of these things, but I guess just to be aware and have just a little bit more connection to my cultural roots, I guess. For example, there are ones where you go and, honor your ancestors. There are also ones in the winter where Is it this one? No. There's one near Christmas where basically it's like a gathering. Yeah, Yule actually is a day where a lot of people gather around as a family. So yeah, like just there are some that people do actually celebrate more widely, others not so much. So yeah, I just thought it would be nice to include some of these things. And what else? So next, in this little corner below the date, I decided to leave that as a space for a marker or indicator. So if I had any journal entries or things that I noted down in the next section, the more like commonplace section, then I would make a note here, probably draw like a star or something, and then put like a number indicating the page number. So it's just so I can reference back, like, oh, okay, on this date I made such an entry. So just for, I don't know, record keeping, I guess. And then in the top middle part here, this is where I'm leaving a space for all the astrological changes that are happening in the sky. So, for example, when we go from one zodiac season to another, or if there are retrogrades starting or ending, I would note all of those in this middle section here. And on to the right hand side of this section for each day, you'll see that I have the lunar phase and also a glyph, actually I should say, a glyph for the zodiac sign that the moon is in at that particular time. And for now I've chosen to stick with tropical because it's just easier that way, but I guess I'll just mention that over here too. On the side, I did note, however, for each zodiac season we're in, I did note both the tropical and sidereal versions because I do want to get more into working with sidereal. So I have that, and then also I have the retrogrades that are happening at any given time. So that way, I just have these things on the side here for each week, just so I don't need to flip back to each of the pages to find, okay, when did this retrograde start, or what. I just want to be able to see these things at a glance at any given moment. So that's why I have these things on the side. And what else? Oh, below the lunar phases, I originally wanted to mark down some of my own personal transits because I do want to work more with transits this coming year. It's something that I have been wanting to learn a little bit more, and but you can see there's nothing here, and it's just because I got too lazy. Writing down all these lunar phases was exhausting enough, so I think I'll still reserve that space for transits, but I'll just note them down as they come along. If something significant happens on a particular day perhaps, and maybe I have a journal entry about it, then maybe I'll mark down those transits that are relevant. But at this point I don't have any here. What else? Oh, and for the health tracker, like the tracking my headaches and all that, I have a little space just underneath here, right above the horizontal line. So that space will be reserved for whenever I do feel like I'm not feeling well, then I will note down the weather, perhaps, whether it's sunny, rainy, the temperature, and perhaps also the barometric pressure for the day. So I'm just going to mark everything, on one line here. And yeah, I think that pretty much covers this weekly spread section. And then the second part of this journal is really just an all-in-one a catch-all. Yes, I think that's the word I was looking for. Anyways, so I have an index page where I'm going to note down, let's say when I do make an entry, the page number that it's on, the category it is. So for example, if it's a journal entry, or if it's just like a random list, or I don't know, just a thought that I had, and then I'll just have like a description of what the entry actually is about. So I'm going to list all that here, and then I'll start, writing on any of these pages back here. And all this is reserved for all that stuff that I'm gonna write, hopefully. And, just having this index page to reference a page number, which I'll probably mark down in a corner, I think will really help keep track of everything. And, putting things into categories will also help me, just have a system, more of a system, I suppose, to keep track of everything. And yeah, and then, also noting down which day I put that journal down, or journal entry down, or whatever, I think is another way to keep track of things. So yeah, some of the things that I'm planning to have in these pages back here include my year ahead tarot reading, also my year ahead I Ching reading that I just started doing this year. I might write something about the year of the snake, and have my lists of books that I want to read, tarot and oracle deck wish lists. I think, yeah, I'll put down, spreads that I come across that I really like in here, so that it's, easy to find. Yeah, I think spreads might be a category as well here. So yeah, hopefully, this little journal / planner will be filled up with a lot of different things, and we'll see where I go with this by the end of the year. So that is essentially my setup. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.